Many of us have a mistaken idea about the knowledge of the sages of the past. However, the truth about nature, about the development of the Big Bang, about our life in society even today is not fully realized. It will never be fully known. We must agree that absolute truth is unattainable. Moreover, the knowledge of thinkers of the past cannot be considered some kind of truth that can help us live better today. Let's skip the period of our development in the primitive tribes. The souls of people of that time were full of fears from volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, hurricanes, and fires. People were constantly threatened by predators and neighboring tribes. Therefore, our ancestors, depending on their place of residence, invented deities living in volcanoes, in the depths of water or underground. This is evidenced by rock paintings. People on Earth in different simple-minded ways believed that it was necessary to pray to local deities for their safety and a well-fed life. With the emergence of states, churches were engaged in identifying and imposing their truth. In ancient Egypt, where one of the first states appeared, priests enthusiastically described the mighty manifestations of nature. They forced all citizens to believe that the gods moved in chariots across the sky, changed day to night and vice versa, and brought all sorts of misfortunes. Although in their ideas about the earth, the ancient Egyptians imagined it as flat, in their religious thoughts and prayers they often turned to the sun and planets. It is not surprising that their main god was the god of the sun. The ancients noticed that the existence of all living things depended on this luminary. Despite their naive ideas about the gods and their power, the ancient Egyptians already studied the movements of the sun, planets, and stars quite well and successfully used their still imperfect knowledge for more successful agriculture. Especially many fantasies and fairy tales were invented with the emergence of subsequent religions. Further, we will talk about religions that originated in the Middle East. They became more advanced compared to the polytheism and complex paganism of ancient Rome and other states. Judaism, the source of Christianity and Islam, played a special role. Some miracles of Christianity and other ancient religions have their roots in the beliefs of ancient Egypt. Thus, the idea of the Immaculate Conception, resurrection and other fantastic inventions that have no evidence in real life were replicated in different religions. Believers were supposed to believe in this. And most did. It is not their fault. At that time, there were no telescopes or microscopes. The general level of theoretical knowledge was very low. The churches should be blamed for using people's ignorance for their own selfish purposes and to serve the rulers. After the end of the life of Christ and the 12 apostles, active descriptions of their deeds began. Writing arose from rock paintings and cuneiform to paper. The influence of Christianity was so great that the apostles of 70 or 72 appeared. They were even joined by some opponents and persecutors of Christians. And the holy writings of the apostles began. All of them had never seen either Christ or 12 apostles. Considering the level of knowledge of that time, the holy writings of the apostles of 12 and 70 were full of fables and fantasies. The most famous of them was the fiction that God created the universe in 6 days. If only the ancient sages knew about the size of the universe. Emperor Constantine put an end to the chaos of the holy writings and collected in the New Testament, consisting of 4 Gospels, what was beneficial to the empire. The New Testament served to strengthen the Roman Empire and subsequent Christian empires. The democratic ideas of Christ and his followers were turned upside down. Although Christ's sermons and humanistic ideas in the Bible texts were preserved, the church actually became an instrument of oppression of the poor. And the rich, who according to the Bible were barred from paradise, were the main beneficiaries of life on earth. It is surprising that today, in addition to fantastic ideas about the creation of the world, incredible information is being circulated among the 2.3 billion inhabitants of the earth. Such as that the first woman was made from Adam's rib, that Christ walked on water and fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And the most widely read book, the Bible, is replete with many other invented facts. This says of the still very low level of knowledge of a large part of our contemporaries. And the most important thing is that the New Testament in practice has become a great swindle of the ideas of the first Christians. The number of atheists in the most developed countries of the world is steadily growing. This speaks of the fact that society is moving towards a better understanding of its life. On the path of understanding the world, we have had many tragic events. The churches of the Middle Ages killed scientists who proved that the earth is round. Then those who discovered that the earth rotates around the sun too. And then was more information. Scientists discovered galaxies, their development towards heat death. Now no one is persecuted for new discoveries of the universe. Moreover, the church even had to apologize for the burning of Giordano Bruno. But all the inhabitants of the city brought brushwood to the fire. The exploration of the world and the dissemination of knowledge are not going smoothly. Pseudosciences have appeared in the world, calling themselves fields of knowledge. For example, astrology, which makes its calculations based on Ptolemy's astronomy, in which the sun is in the center of the world. Even today, quite serious magazines regularly print such nonsense as astrological forecasts. It turns out that false information is being replicated based on medieval misconceptions about the development of the world. 12 other areas of esotericism are based on the knowledge of past centuries. Preachers of esotericism deceive their followers for the purpose of their own enrichment. At the same time, one cannot deny the positive influence of yoga, if we dismiss the pseudoscientific theory of this area of esotericism. The wisdom of the ancestors in the part that is useful for our lives should be studied and applied. For example, some of the 12 Testaments and the Torah recommendations. You just need to ignore information from the past that does not correspond to our level of development. The surest way is to choose from the knowledge of humanity the newest ones that help to live as long as possible and improve ourselves in our future generations. And the wisdom of the ancients, obviously incorrect, should be considered as the history of knowledge of the world. And there is no need to hope that people will one day know everything completely.